You want to know which players are set to smash, put up big point totals, and help you get the win in the fantasy playoffs? Well, we're about to tell you. Welcome back, Endgame community. I'm Pierre, he's Chris, and we're here with our weekly boom picks. This time it's week 15, playoff time for a lot of you. You want to survive in advance. These guys might help you do just that. All right, Chris, so who is your first boom?
It might seem obvious to say Tony Pollard will boom, but Tony Pollard is absolutely going to boom again this week. Look, he's been booming almost every single week lately. 5 of the last 6 games, he has at least 20 PPR points, has a couple 30-point games in there. And you might be thinking like, well, yeah, Tony Pollard, he's taken over this backfield. But he really hasn't. He's still getting less touches and less opportunities than Ezekiel Elliott. He's just capitalizing on them because he has that big play, explosive ability. And this week against Jacksonville, he should be able to hit some home runs against his defense. Not a good run defense at all. We just saw, in week 14, after Derrick Henry had struggled for like 5 straight weeks looking terrible, he looked like the old prime Derrick Henry against his terrible run defense. There's no reason Tony Pollard can't rip off 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 huge runs in this game, huge catches. Always has touchdown upside. The Cowboys are rolling. This offense is rolling. Tony Pollard is rolling. And if you've been rolling with him, keep rolling with him because he's going to help a lot of teams win their Week 15 matchups.
Got to agree with you. And you know what? I feel the same way about a player that we were so close to, on the verge of saying he's a no doubt must start, don't care about the matchup or anything else. And that's Garrett Wilson of the Jets. Wilson has just gotten better and better. And in this matchup, it's Detroit. Jets are at home. This is the week where I'm not questioning it. I don't care who the quarterback is for the Jets. Well, that's not true. All right, if Zach Wilson happens to be a quarterback, then I'd be a little worried. But I'm still starting Garrett Wilson. I think that he's going to be a top 10 wide receiver at the very least. And I'm starting him no matter what. All right, let's go with the next boom pick. Who you got?
Well, I also have a wide receiver who came back from injury in week 14 and boomed, and I think he booms again, and that is Mike Williams. Had to love what you saw from Mike Williams in week 14. 6 targets, 6 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. Looked great, making contested catches, getting the ball down the field. This offense finally fully healthy, finally fully unlocked. They're looking good. And now they get a dream matchup against the Tennessee Titans, who are the biggest or one of the biggest pass funnel defenses, in the entire league. We've picked on this, Tennessee defense a lot with receivers, over the whole season, and rarely have they let us down. And I don't think they're going to let us down this week against Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Mike Williams, we know when he's healthy, has week winning upside. We've seen it multiple times this year, multiple times last year. We're going to see it again in week 15. Maybe like me, in some of your leagues last week, you were a little nervous to play him. You didn't play him. You don't have to be nervous about him anymore. Got through the game healthy, got through the game unscathed. Will probably be even better now in week 15. Another guy who is going to really carry teams into the semifinals, into week 16. Get Mike Williams in all of your lineups.
Yeah, if you've been holding on to him, you're definitely glad he came back at the perfect time. No doubt you have to put him in your lineup. So, that Tennessee defense has been really bad to wide receivers, but they have been dethroned because now officially the worst defense to wide receivers in terms of fantasy points allowed is the Vikings. So why not go with Michael Pittman? Yeah, he got you nothing last week. Well, that's because he didn't play. He got you really not that much the week before, going against a tough Cowboys defense. This is now, again, the most generous defense to wide receivers. We just saw guys like DJ Chark, Jameson Williams in his second game ever, his first catch ever, toasting this secondary. I'm pretty sure Michael Pittman, who has a 26% air yard share on his team and one of the top target share getters, because the Colts just really don't have a lot of depth. They're not spreading the ball around. Michael Pittman's the guy there. I think week off, this team's going to have to throw the ball out against Minnesota, and Michael Pittman should be very effective based on his projected target share, based on the fact that Minnesota is giving up the most yards per target to wide receivers. I feel like Pittman's almost a must start. I know there's probably guys who have been more productive this season overall, but in this matchup, I want that ceiling. Pittman's ceiling is going to be super high this week. So that's why I love him in week 15. All right, let's do one more each. Give me your final boom for this week.
Yeah, I know it's been a rough first 2 games for Amari Cooper with Deshaun Watson, but I think you got to trust him one more time here in week 15. And look, remember early in the year there was this home road split, Amari Cooper, and then he had that big road game, and we were like, okay, maybe we don't have to worry about it anymore. Well, maybe that one big road game was just an outlier, right? Because now he's just had 2 road games at Houston, at Cincinnati. Didn't really do a whole lot. But now, back at home against Baltimore, a secondary that just has not gotten healthy, has not gotten better. You can definitely exploit this secondary. You can throw against this secondary. You can hit home runs against this secondary. And look, Deshaun Watson has not been a $230 million quarterback by any stretch. He has not looked like even a top 10 quarterback. But he looked better in week 14. And you got to think he'll look even better in week 15 at home, again, against a bad Baltimore secondary. I know Donovan Peoples-Jones, people are starting to think maybe he's the guy with Deshaun Watson. I'm not ready to go that far yet. I still think Amari Cooper is the guy. I think he's primed for a huge, huge week 15. Don't give up on him. Give him another chance. I think he has legit week winning upside. We've seen it multiple times this year. I think we see it again in week 15.
All right, so let's go back to where we started. You began with the Dallas-Jacksonville game. You like Tony Pollard. I like Dalton Schultz. And I think both these guys could feast because, Jacksonville's defense, very inconsistent at best. Not good against the run, but they're not good against tight ends either. This is a team that over the last 4 weeks has allowed the most yards to tight ends, over 10 yards per target. Look, Dalton Schultz, as it is become one of the more consistent tight end options. We know even guys like George Kittle, Mark Andrews, you thought you had an elite tight end and not so much. Dalton Schultz has outpaced those guys. He's been really solid. He has scoring potential at all times. I think Jacksonville will at least challenge them enough where Dallas will have to pass the ball, and I'm assuming Dak Prescott has a better game than he did last week. But I think Schultz is definitely going to be a top 5 tight end this week at the very least. And I could easily see him scoring at least once, if not twice. So in this case, even if you do have guys like Kittle or basically any tight end not named Travis Kelce, I'm going with Schultz. I think he's a guy that you'll definitely be glad that you had all season at tight end. All right, now you know which players we expect to break out in Week 15, but we have a lot more advice for you. Check out our Week 15 playlist with start sit advice and more to help you win.